Hello children, metals and non-metals, class 8, subject science, chapter 4, and this is the part 2. So in the previous class we have studied about the physical properties of metals, chemical properties of metals and the uses of metals, right? So in today's class, let's discuss about the non-metals. So the physical properties of non-metals are: non-metals are generally gas like oxygen or solid like carbon. Exception is bromine, which is liquid. Okay, generally they are gases. Non-metals are generally gases. And the second point is usually not lustrous. Lustrous means what? Which has shining properties, lustrous, right? Non-metals usually do not luster. Exception is iodine. Only iodine is a non-metal which has the lustrous property. And the third point is they are very brittle, which means they form powders if hammered, which means they are soft in nature. It is not very hard, they are very brittle. And usually soft except for diamond. So diamond is the hardest non-metal. Okay, other than that, all other non-metals are soft. And the next point under physical properties is they are non-sonorous, which means they do not make sound when it is hit. And non-conductors of heat and electricity, or you can also call it as bad conductors of heat and electricity, except graphite. So graphite is the only non-metal which is good conductor of heat and electricity. So remaining all other non-metals are bad conductors. And density is generally lower than metals. And the melting point is also lower compared to metals. Okay. And what about the metalloids? So metalloids possess character of both metals and non-metals. So it will possess the character of both metals and non-metals. So let's look at the chemical properties of non-metals. A typical non-metal like sulfur burns, that is reacts with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide gas. So what happens when sulfur burns in oxygen, it forms sulfur dioxide gas. When this gas is dissolved in water, it forms sulfurous acid or sulfuric acid is formed. Generally, oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature. You have to remember this, children. So oxides of metals are basic in nature, whereas oxides of non-metals are acidic in nature. Generally, non-metals do not react with water. So phosphorus, as it reacts with air, is stored in water. Hence, why it is stored in water? Because it is not reacting with water. Non-metals generally do not react with acids, whereas metals react with acids, whereas non-metals do not react with acids. Non-metals do react with bases, but would be dealt with in a higher class. Next comes the displacement reaction. Displace means what? Whichever is like displacement means to move, to change. Okay. So displacement reaction is a chemical reaction in which more reactive element displaces a less reactive element from its compound. Which means whichever the metal is metal or non-metal. Okay. Whichever a metal or non-metal is more reactive, it displaces the less reactive, which means it comes and sits in that less reactive place. Okay. So both metals and non-metals take part in displacement reactions. So you all can see the order of reactivity here. First is the potassium, sodium, calcium, magnesium. So whichever starts from K. So this is the most active, that is most reactive metals, and the least reactive is you all can see here platinum is the least reactive. Clear? So the order of reactivity is like this. Next, certain more reactive nonmetals displaces less reactive nonmetals from their solutions. For example, chlorine displaces bromine from bromides and iodine from iodide. So here magnesium plus copper sulfate. So magnesium displaces copper from copper sulfate. Therefore, it forms magnesium sulfate plus copper. Can you all see why? Magnesium and copper. So magnesium is the most it is the most active element. Yes or no? Can you all see magnesium comes first and then comes aluminium, zinc, iron, next comes the copper. Okay, so copper is the least reactive when compared to magnesium. Therefore, magnesium displaces the copper from copper sulfate. Hence, magnesium sulfate is formed. Next, alloys. So, alloy is a material composed of two or more metals or a metal with a non-metal. Okay, either two or more metals are formed to form an alloy, or a metal and a non-metal is joined to form an alloy. Alloys are made to change the properties of metals to obtain desired properties. So, whichever property we need, so you can make it by using metal and non-metal or by using two or more metals. Example, steel, bronze, brass are the examples of alloys. Next comes the non-metals uses, that is the uses of non-metals. So, sulfur is used in making crackers, fireworks, gunpowder, matchboxes and antiseptic ointments. So, in all these cases what happens, sulfur is used, and the activated carbon is used as a decolorizing agent and also is used in purification of water. And the tincture of iodine is used for medical purposes as it has antiseptic properties. So, what we learnt in today's class about the physical and chemical properties of nonmetals, displacement reaction and the uses of nonmetals. So, these are the questions that you have to answer. Thank you, children.